discretion, because if you don't feel safe to come out, because there are families, and unfortunately they do this, kick them out even if they're underage, and it's terrifying, and it's horrible that a lot of people experience that.
Right. Cool. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. Before we get started, though, let's have our guests introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. Super excited to be here. Oh, me? Yeah, nice. My name is Amber. I'm excited to be here too.
Ooh, what are we talking about? It's a great question. Over the years, this is coming from personal experience. I've been really confused on how would you say this?
The difference between biological sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation.
Because a lot of us, personal experience, we all get these confused. Like, can it be one? Can it be the other? How does this all intertwine? Mm-hmm. It's very confusing. First, biological sex. Keeping it simple, male, female, intersex. Male, you have an XY chromosomes. Science, you have a penis, self-explanatory. Females, you have vagina, X chromosomes. And then intersex, that's where it gets a little confusing, where you have either multiple chromosomes, you have an XXY, you have an XYY. There's a whole spectrum and a different array on that. And that's where it gets a little, you say spicy, confusing? What's a good term for that?
Complicated?
Complicated.
In terms of paperwork. We'll go with that.
Mm-hmm. Paperwork, definitely. When it comes to gender identity,
we have many options again. There's male, female, trans female, non-binary. There's a slew of different categories that you can fall into. It's a spectrum, and it just also depends on how you self-identify.
And then for individuals who are confused, how does one identify? Is that like a journey? Do they I want to be this one day, I want to be this another day? How would
I like what you just said, there's people who actually are gender fluid, they go through I want to present myself as female today, and then the next day I'm I want to be more masculine today. And it's sometimes they even ask can you change the pronouns? Today I'm she, her, tomorrow I'm a he, him, the next day I'm a they, them. It's fluid, so it really depends on the person. And yes, it is a journey because it could be as easy as biologically female, I didn't identify myself as a female and I present myself as a female. Could be as easy as that, or for a trans male person, it'd be biologically they were a female and then they became they identify themselves as male, so they start dressing themselves as male.
And then would that make it? I know back in the days we would have tomboys and then mm-hmm. boys who have more feminine qualities. Because they enjoy, I guess, how would you say it? For males who enjoy caring, I guess you could say be more caring, being more
feminine.
Mm-hmm. And, would they be considered gender fluent, or does that become a personal choice?
I think, yeah. I think it's a personal choice. It also just it depends on how you identify yourself. Mm-hmm. Because just say, for example, today I wanted to dress more masculine. That does not mean I identify as a specific way. Mm-hmm. Personally, I am a cis woman, mm-hmm. meaning that my biological sex aligns with the way I identify as a person, correct? Mm-hmm. I am not labeling myself as non-binary or trans or any other non-cis label, correct?
Right.
So I could dress more masculine, but that does not affect my label. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes. Do you agree? Yeah, no, that's the best explanation right there.
Yeah, it makes sense, because a lot of times we just want to dress comfortably, and sometimes mm-hmm. putting a hoodie, having slacks, or not slacks, what is it? Sweatpants. It feels a lot better than just putting on dress clothes.
Mm-hmm. And it's also
It could be fun. I don't know.
It
It could just be for the fun.
Yeah.
Definitely. Going back on the cisgender, we mentioned, well, cisgender, for those who aren't familiar, that is where you would like you have an attraction towards the opposite sex?
Yeah.
Or how does that?
It's how she said it. So if you were born, like for you, like you are born male, you identify as male, so you are a cis male.
Cis male. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So you were born male and you are still male.
Mhm.
Okay. And then same thing, female,
Cis.
cis female.
Yeah, cis.
Okay. Would that be the same thing for intersex?
Intersex. No.
That's where it gets a little
That's a little more
complicated, right?
Because someone who is intersex, biologically speaking, have the components of both male and female person. Whether it's on the outside, whether it's on the inside, whether it's biologically chromosome based, they can have any mix of things that qualifies them to be considered intersex. But in terms of gender identity, they have the option to be gender fluid, non-binary, or they can even go through procedures to take one specific gender. A lot of issues in terms of historically speaking, intersex people used to be like when they were babies, parents would pick a sex for them and then do that change while they were kids or babies. And then later on in life, they would be like, oh, this is why my gender identity has never felt correct with my biological identity. So it's just a whole complicated situation.
Interesting. And I remember watching a video about intersex individuals, and they mentioned that historically they have had medical procedures to be male or female according to their parents. Even though they've had that procedure, they still have a lot of the traits and characteristics of the gender that they no longer, I guess that was medically removed.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting too is hormones with estrogen and testosterone.
Testosterone.
Testosterone. It's a whole tongue twister for me. Is that typically, correct me if I'm wrong, most women produce more estrogen than testosterone, and males would typically produce more testosterone than estrogen. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. No, I can go like on a whole other tangent for that because like hormone based.
It's a whole slew of things too.
Yeah, okay, you don't have to add this, you can cut this out later. But like for women who menstruate, their hormones get different types throughout their menstrual cycle. But apparently when we are closest to our period date, that's when we have higher levels of testosterone. So we do produce both. But it just varies on like where we're at with our menstrual cycle. And then there are women who have like PCOS that have higher levels of testosterone as well, which is why you see like their more facial hair or different components in their bodies.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, because it's testosterone that affects like hair growth, right? So like that's why there is such a varying degree between men, because like some men can grow full beard in a month, and while there's men who can't produce it, it's because of their level of hormones.
So talking a little bit more about trans, would you say that's more of an umbrella as well? There's like different categories, different groups, very similar to intersex, where there's just a whole slew.
Yes, because trans is basically the umbrella term for like trans women, trans male. And then under that is also non-binary or gender fluid people, or those who don't at all identify in anything.
Like non-binary.
Yeah, and I know some who identify as just as queer in general.
And then queer, for those who understand, I'm still a little confused. Queer is another word for like questioning or unsure.
Queer is also an umbrella term.
Yeah.
Like it's.
When it comes to these labels, a lot of them are self-identification in terms of like what fits right with you.
Both like, I guess you could say socially, internally, like we talked about earlier. It's just that whole journey and identifying.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess to make things even more complicated, sexual orientation. For me, when I hear orientation, I think of like the identify of who you are, which when we do the research, that's not that's what gender identity is what you identify as. So in simple terms, what is sexual orientation?
Who you are attracted to in the most basic terms. Because like if you're straight, you're more attracted to the opposite gender if you go by the binary terms. And then like the LGBTQ, L, lesbians, G, gay, B, bisexual, T, trans, and then Q, queer. So lesbians, they are attracted to women, gay are men who are attracted to other men, and then bisexual, that is a little more complicated. It is a umbrella term for, so some people identify as like they're attracted to the two genders of male and female, or to other genders in general, but it's for usually just two genders they are attracted to.
By meaning two.
By me too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
English right there. Definitely. And with the community LGBT, there's others where you have asexual, pansexual.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, for the community itself, there's so many different things you can identify as.
Yes.
That's why the full like little term is LGBTQIA+. Plus meaning all the extra labels or umbrella terms that specifically fit your identity. So you mentioned pansexual.
Pansexual and then asexual.
Yes, so asexual is a person that has no physical or sexual attraction to anyone. There's like subcategories like aromantic, where they experience romantic attraction but not physical attraction.
Aromantic is the opposite. They do
kidding.
not feel romantic
There you go.
attraction.
Always fact check. Do not take stuff at base level. When it comes to these terms and how you want to self-identify, it's best to like research and explore what fits you. Yeah.
Go through the journey, talk to people. It's okay to figure out.
Google
is a good resource. I also recommend Planned Parenthood because like it just gives you a whole slew of information regarding the gender identity, sexual orientations, just basic information that you can get right there.
And it's unbiased information.
Yeah, unbiased.
That's a really big one.
Yes, because when it comes to these things, there is usually a lot of propaganda surrounding it. So you want to make sure that any information you're seeking out is unbiased so that it doesn't influence you one way or another. It's not something negative. It's something that is, again, self-reflective. Yeah, I think it's good.
Such a good job.
Fact check, moral of the story.
Yes.
Always check your facts. For someone who is figuring out where they belong in this journey, what would be some advice that you would give them?
That's a great question. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one.
The biggest one. Because it can be scary. Not realize when you don't fit the binary or when you don't fit society's norm or expectations, it's scary to be like, I'm on the outside. But you have to realize that there is a whole community. Literally.
Yes, really big.
That it will be there to support you, you know? Because even the whole process of like trying to self-identify can be confusing.
Yeah.
It was confusing for me.
I mean, maybe the gender is like the purity, like I'm this. I'm like, you know, I don't like this. Now I'm this. And it's like,
But I think that can be part of the fun. Like if you allow it to be, because you can just be like, hey, I'm gonna play around with this idea of who I want to be as a person. And if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And you can move on to another label or another identity. It doesn't have to be a big bad thing.
Yeah. Because like there's even like in the LGBT there's Q for questioning.
Questioning, right.
So for those who are still like trying to figure themselves out, and it's experimentations. So when you're old enough and you reach that age, you can experiment. Like at least for me, my discovery was like in college, like officially college. Because in high school I was questioning, but in college is when I was like, oh, for sure I am this.
Definitely, you had that freedom to be able to explore and do your own thing.
Yes, and that's where it was like more welcoming too, because they had resources to go to. They had oh, what is the word I'm looking for? They had an LGBT club, so like I was free to go there and have questions, and they had booths whenever we had events. So it was nice to know that like there are people who I can go to for help.
And that we're willing to listen as well.
Yes.
I think so too. And this kind of leads into the next thing where it's like the whole coming out process.
Mhm.
Yes, you can have that period of self-reflection, but then talking to people is also crucial in this
Yeah.
process
Yes.
because then it makes it feel more real.
Yes.
Because when it's just on you, it's like, no one has to know. And that's
Mhm.
good if that's what you need.
Mhm.
But once you start talking to these people, it makes it more normalized. It makes it feel safe.
Mhm.
And that takes away from the fear of like trying to figure out what's going on in your mind and in your feelings,
Yes, because like depending on your home situations, like for me, I'm not out to my family because I know I am not safe. I am not safe to come out to my family. At least
So we're
certain
safe here.
Yes, with my friends and like even random people. I feel safer with random people than I do in my own home. So it's really up to the person's discretion because
The
if you don't feel
environment that
safe to come out, because there are families and unfortunately they do this, kick them out even if they're underage. And it's terrifying and it's horrible that a lot of people like experience that.
Right.
So it is up to the person's discretion if you're comfortable in coming out and you're able to do it to your parents. I'm not. So like
We hope that whoever's listening
Yeah.
does have that support system.
yes.
But your support system doesn't have to be your blood family.
Yeah.
That's why they have like chosen family. And that's
Mhm.
really big in the LGBT community because everyone in that community knows someone or is someone that doesn't have that sense of like safety network that they can do that.
Yeah, like I know there's an Instagram page where like it's called Found Dads or something like that, where like they're random dads who would go to your wedding if your dad is not there. Like
That's so cute.
so and I'm
be
sure
someone's
there's
fake
one
mom
for
for that.
moms. Like even like at the Pride Parade, there are moms out there who's like, if your mom won't hug you because of how you identify or what you're attracted to, I am here to give you a hug. Like there's so many like parents who are accepting that even if your parents will accept, there are other parents who will.
Yes. So like I mean the whole coming out process, it's not like in the movies. It's not just
Like,
one big like
gonna hug you. It's like,
No,
oh, we love you.
no, it's not like you make a huge announcement, rent out a billboard or like a skywriter or whatever. That's not, it's like little by little.
Yes.
Baby steps.
You find the people you can trust.
Yeah.
And you tell them one by one, or you can do like a group thing, whatever
Mhm.
feels most comfortable to you.
Yeah.
It is your journey, your story. You dictate how it goes.
Exactly.
Put that little sticker.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely, it's true that you mentioned it, and this is with anyone too. Like going through that journey, it's a lot of us. We want to do things, and we want to try things that we feel other people have not done yet.
Mhm.
And all it takes is just asking
Yeah.
the right people.
Yes. Because it's a really back and forth. Like, am I this? Am I that? Should I do this? And it's like we've been saying, a whole journey. Just good luck. Be safe.
You guys got this.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for helping me understand this a lot more. This is definitely out of my comfort zone, and for any of you guys, for any of you guys who have more questions, there's resources out there. Talk to people. Be curious, as we always mention. Just ask those questions, and as always, PSA: pass a smile, stay safe, always stay awesome, and we'll see you guys next time. Oh my gosh. Oh my great. That is like sweaty.